When you pick up an item from a shelf displaying one price and watch the register ring it up at a higher price, almost every shopper does the same thing. They pay the register price. Because questioning it feels awkward, because they are not certain they read the shelf tag correctly, because the cashier seems busy and the line is moving and the difference might only be $1 or $2. Here is what almost nobody knows. In many states across the country, charging more at the register than the price displayed on the shelf is not just a pricing error, it is a violation of scanner accuracy laws, meaning state statutes that require the price scanned at the register to match the price marked at the point of sale. And in several of those states, the violation entitles you to more than just the correct price. It entitles you to a discount, a refund of the overcharge, or in some states, the item itself at no cost up to a certain value. The shelf tag you walked past is not a suggestion. In many states, it is a legal price commitment, and the words you say at the register before you pay determine whether you walk out having paid what the law says you should have paid. This video covers exactly what scanner accuracy laws are, which states have the strongest protections, what you are entitled to when the register and the shelf disagree, and the exact words you say before a single dollar more than the shelf price leaves your hands. Hit subscribe right now because this channel exists to give you knowledge that protects you in the moments where most people assume the store is right simply because the register says so. Share this with one person before this video ends, someone who has stood at a checkout and paid more than the shelf price because they were not sure what to do. Here's the reality most shoppers are never taught. Scanner accuracy laws are state statutes, meaning laws passed by individual state governments that govern the relationship between the price marked on a shelf or an item and the price that registers when the item is scanned at checkout. These laws exist in many states, including Michigan, Massachusetts, Connecticut, California, and others, and they vary in their specific requirements and remedies. Michigan has one of the strongest scanner accuracy laws in the country. Under Michigan law, if a retailer scans an item at a price higher than the lowest advertised price, and the customer catches it before leaving the store, the customer is entitled to receive the item free of charge if it is priced at $3.50 or less, or to receive a $10 discount off the correct price for items priced above that amount. That is not a store policy. That is a state law. Massachusetts has similar protections under its item pricing law, which requires most retailers to mark every item individually with its price and to charge the lowest of the marked price or the shelf price when the two differ. Even in states without specific scanner accuracy statutes, deceptive pricing laws and consumer protection statutes may apply when a store charges more at the register than the price it displayed to attract the purchase. The Federal Trade Commission, which is the federal government agency that oversees fair business practices, has long-standing guidance on deceptive pricing that applies across all 50 states. Their guides against deceptive pricing specifically address situations where a price is represented to the consumer at the point of selection and a different, higher price appears at checkout. The core principle across all of these frameworks is the same. A price displayed to a consumer at the point of sale is a representation. Charging more than that representation at the register is a practice the law in many jurisdictions does not permit. Here is what the bad way looks like. Shopper selects an item from a shelf marked at $4.99. The register rings it up at $6.49. Shopper notices the difference but says nothing. They pay $6.49. They mention it to a family member when they get home. They forget about it by morning. The store collected $1.50 it was not entitled to collect. The shopper had both the right and the information to prevent that. Nobody had told them what to say. Here's what the good way looks like. Same item, same register, same discrepancy. Before paying, the shopper says this calmly and clearly. The shelf price for this item was $4.99. The register is showing a higher price. I am requesting that the shelf price be applied before I complete this purchase. Then the shopper waits. That statement does three things at once. It states the shelf price specifically, which creates a verbal record of what was displayed. It identifies the discrepancy, which puts the burden on the cashier or manager to explain or correct it. And it makes the request before the transaction completes, which keeps the correction where it is easiest and fastest, at the register, before money changes hands. In most cases, a manager is called. In states with scanner accuracy laws, most trained managers know the statute and what it requires. The correction is applied. In some states, the correction comes with an additional benefit under the scanner law. Drop a comment right now and tell me, have you ever noticed a register price higher than the shelf price and paid it anyway because you were not sure you had the right to challenge it? Tell me yes or no, and tell me what state you are in. I want to know how many people this happens to every single week. Knowing what to say at the register matters, but what most shoppers never find out is what happens when the cashier does not have the authority to fix it on the spot, and what the store is still required to do when you raise the issue correctly. That is where most people quietly accept the loss they were never required to take. If the cashier says they cannot adjust the price and the manager confirms the register price is correct, you do two things before you leave. First, you photograph the shelf tag. If you have not already done this before approaching the register, ask to return to the shelf to do it now. That photograph, time-stamped on your phone, is the documentation that the price was displayed at one amount when you selected the item. It is the foundation of every step that follows. Second, you file a complaint the same day. If you are in a state with a scanner accuracy law, file with your state attorney general's Consumer Protection Office, which is the government office that enforces those statutes. Include the date, the store location, the item description, the shelf price, the register price, and your photograph. Most state offices have online complaint forms, and most complaints are forwarded to the business for mandatory response. If you are in a state without a specific scanner accuracy law, file with the Federal Trade Commission through their online complaint portal. The FTC uses complaint data to identify patterns of deceptive pricing by national retailers. Your individual complaint may be one of hundreds about the same store chain, and collectively, those complaints drive enforcement action. The statement works at the register in most cases, but most shoppers only discover that the scanner law existed after they already paid the wrong price. That is exactly what was happening to Patricia before she understood what the shelf tag actually meant. Patricia is 67 years old, lives in Michigan, and regularly shops at a large grocery chain near her home. Over several months, she noticed the register price was higher than the shelf price on multiple items, sometimes by small amounts and sometimes by more than $1. She paid each time because she was not sure she had the right to insist on the shelf price. A neighbor who had worked in retail told her about Michigan's scanner accuracy law, and specifically about the free item provision for lower priced goods. The next time Patricia noticed a discrepancy on an item priced at $2.89, she used the statement. The manager was called. The manager confirmed the shelf price and applied the scanner law. Patricia received the item at no charge under the Michigan statute. Patricia later said she had given that store more money than she should have over those several months, simply because she did not know that the price on the shelf was the price the law required the store to honor. Here is the complete recap. In many states, charging more at the register than the price marked on the shelf violates scanner accuracy laws, meaning state statutes written specifically to protect shoppers from register prices that exceed the price that attracted their purchase. In states without those specific laws, Deceptive pricing statutes and Federal Trade Commission guidelines still apply. Before you pay a register price that is higher than the shelf price you saw, you say this: the shelf price for this item was the amount marked on the shelf. The register is showing a higher price. I am requesting that the shelf price be applied before I complete this purchase. If the correction is not made at the register, you photograph the shelf tag immediately. File a complaint with your state attorney general's Consumer Protection Office if your state has a scanner accuracy law, and file with the Federal Trade Commission if it does not. Think about one person in your life right now, someone who notices these discrepancies at the register, pays anyway, and never says anything because they did not know the shelf price had legal weight behind it. Share this video with them today, not later, right now. The statement you just learned takes 15 seconds to say, and it is the difference between paying what the law says you owe and paying what the register says the store wants. If a store has ever refused to honor your coupon at the register, there is a video on this channel that covers exactly what to say to get it applied anyway, the consumer protection framework behind that right, and the full complaint path when the manager says no. Watch that one next. This video is general educational information only and is not legal advice for your specific situation. Know your rights, use them, stay safe.